Hey everyone, this is Coach Travis at Play Tennis Gainesville, and we're going to talk a little bit today about playing tennis in the heat. So when we're playing tennis outside in these upcoming summer months, it's going to be extremely hot down here in Florida. So the most important thing is trying to stay cool when we're playing. So today I'll go over some different tips about hydration while we're out on the court and even before we're playing. Some tips to help us block out that sun, keep us a little cooler when we're playing. And then finally, some tips also about how we're playing and conserving some energy while we're out on the court. The most important thing about playing tennis in the heat is staying cool. So a tennis court is going to absorb all that sunlight, all that heat that's being given off, and it'll actually make that court about 15 to 20 degrees hotter than the actual temperature. So if we're playing and it's 80 degrees outside, it's going to be close to 100 degrees on that court. So we got to keep that body temperature down so we're not overheating and potentially getting hurt and also affecting our performance. So what's the number one way to help keep that body temperature down and also replenish those nutrients we're losing while we're working out? It's going to be hydration. When we're playing, we're going to be sweating and we're going to have to replenish that lost sweat from our body. Most people are going to have to drink at least 32 ounces while they're playing, but if you're a heavy sweater like myself, it's going to be a lot more than that. So keep staying hydrated to replenish that lost sweat, and you'll notice that energy will stay up and your performance won't go down as much. Another important aspect about hydration is keeping our body temperature down. So in order to do this, we need to make sure what we're drinking is cold. So a good way to keep our drinks cold is to, one, put those drinks in the shade out of the sunlight so they don't heat up, or two, bring out a mini cooler of some sort that'll help keep those drinks cold. Another important thing, to make sure we're not strictly drinking water. We need to mix in some electrolytes as well, so I would recommend a mixture of water and sports drinks that you're drinking while you're playing to fully replenish those lost electrolytes when we're sweating. Last thing about hydration is going to be drink before you're thirsty. So this could start the night before we're playing a match or tournament, but as soon as you start to feel that dehydration, it's going to be too late. So I would recommend start hydrating the night before, drinking lots of water, lots of sports drinks, and then also cut out the alcohol or caffeine before you play tennis. Both of these things are going to increase our dehydration. So skip the alcohol the night before, coffee that morning, in order to make sure you're fully hydrated for your match. Now that we've gone over hydration and how that's going to help us stay cool on the court, I want to talk about our actual attire we're going to be wearing when we're playing tennis. First thing we need to talk about is going to be our shoes. So when we're playing, that heat's coming up from the court, so we got to make sure we have proper tennis shoes on that don't have holes in the bottom. That way we can keep our feet insulated, keep some of that heat away. Next thing we need to talk about is going to be the actual shorts and shirts we're wearing. Make sure they're, one, a light color. If you're wearing white or gray, it's going to absorb a lot less of that sunlight and heat. But if you're wearing dark colored clothes, a black shirt, you're going to get a lot hotter quicker and drain that energy from yourself. Along those lines, we also need to make sure that the clothes are breathable. So if we're wearing super tight clothing, it's not going to give us a lot of room to breathe, and we're going to get overheated a lot faster. So make sure those clothes are breathable and lightweight when we're playing in the heat. We also need to make sure we're wearing a hat or sweatband, something on our head to keep that sweat out of our eyes, I would recommend a hat because one, that'll keep the sun out of your eyes, and it'll also keep the sweat out of your eyes as well. Another thing, I would recommend if you have a bag of some sort, bring a dry towel that you can use to wipe your face off, wipe your hands, your legs, wherever you're sweating. But nobody likes gripping a racket when their hands are wet. It's very hard to do. So bring a towel to help keep yourself dry. Finally, I would recommend that you bring changes of clothes. When you're playing, if you're sweating, your clothes are gonna get wet. So have an extra shirt, extra socks in your bag so that you can change into that dry t-shirt or dry socks. And you'll notice, one, it'll feel a lot better. The clothes won't be sticking to you. You'll feel more breathable. And two, it also provides a little bit of a mental pick-me-up. Having those fresh clothes on might give you a little more energy to get you through the end of your match. The next thing I want to talk about is going to be some actual strategy for when we're playing. I would highly recommend that you start slowly when you're playing in the heat. This is really important if we're playing a tournament and we're going to have multiple matches in a day. The longer it goes on, the more energy is going to get drained. So start slowly. You got to conserve some of that energy for the end of our match or those next couple matches we have over a tournament. Another tip about playing tennis in the heat is going to be minimize your running. So when we're playing, it's hot out, we're having long rallies, it's going to take a lot out of us. So try to minimize all that running, play aggressively, get to the net, but make those points short, because if we have long points, that energy's just going to drain out of us, and it's going to be tough to finish out that match with a ton of energy if we're using it all on long points early on in the match. The last tip I have about playing tennis in the heat is going to be take advantage of your changeovers. When we're playing, we have 60 seconds on changeovers during a set, 90 seconds in between sets, and then depending on if you're playing a 10-point tiebreaker or a full third set, you'll have a couple minutes to regroup in between that second and third set. A lot of people don't take those full times when they have those changeovers. When we're playing in the heat, this is a chance for us to relax, regroup a little bit, and get out of that heat. So a few quick things about our changeovers. One, I mentioned this during our hydration segment. Bring a cooler if you can. Inside the cooler, you can store a bunch of different things, including our drinks, and it will help it stay cool throughout the match. I would also recommend having ice packs of some sort that you can put on your neck, on your forehead to help keep that temperature down. If you don't have ice packs, I would recommend bringing a wet towel, something, and some ice cold water that you can wrap around your neck on those changeovers. We have a full 60 seconds during those sets to take, so take advantage of that and don't rush back out to that court after your changeover. Playing tennis in the heat is one of the hardest things to do. It's mentally and physically draining, and it's very difficult once we lose that energy in the heat to get that energy back up. The most important thing about playing tennis in the heat is keeping that body temperature down and staying cool. A couple ways to do that. One is hydration, staying hydrated throughout that match. Two is going to be the attire we're wearing. So like I talked about, wear light colored, breathable clothing, preferably a hat of some sort to keep you out of that sun. And then finally, the strategy we use when we're playing. Try to keep those points short. We don't want long points. It's going to drain a lot of energy from us. And take advantage of those changeovers, that time off we have. Thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.